Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's that time for another fresh monthly episode of Franchise Frenzy. Name is Cinematic Otaku Chris. Welcoming you back on my channel as we'll be taking a look at some Part 8 entries from those selected horror franchises of mine in the ongoing challenge hosted by my good friend, the Horror Man. Not much of an introduction to say here, rather than I know there are some 8-film horror franchises meeting its end here, including one that we will be saying goodbye to, that I'll be covering in this episode, and that you'll have to guess for yourself. But for right now, let's start at the top in my ranking with an epic crossover that deserves more love, in my opinion. Freddy vs. Jason from 2003. After the last entry of both franchises, for years, fans were wondering and wishing to see an epic crossover showdown between two most iconic slasher villains to come out of the 1980s. And the answer was Freddy vs. Jason. I remember reading the hype about it in Entertainment Weekly magazine as a 12-year-old and was just interested to see this showdown. Yet, I was too young to watch, but when I first finally got the chance to see it in high school around 2009, it was pretty good, I can say. A lot of carnage between Freddy and Jason. It does have a decent mystery storyline in regards to if Freddy may have returned or not. But it's actually, you know who else is doing the killing, for those who've seen the film before. Plus, Catherine Isabel from Ginger Snaps co-stars in this showdown, which is a real bonus because this won't be the only time I'll talk about Freddy vs. Jason for this month's episode, because there is more to the story and thoughts on Freddy vs. Jason in a future episode, which this entry here qualifies as part of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, which apparently there was not a sequel after New Nightmare. Bummer. So, for now, we can enjoy a little showdown between two of the 80s best loved horror maniacs. And this is where I rank Freddy vs. Jason at first place for Franchise Frenzy. Still wish there'd be a round 2, but New Line, you know how the film didn't do too well at the box office. Alien Covenant from 2017. Ridley Scott returns to the Alien franchise for the third time and picks up where Prometheus concluded, and brings in a new crew to investigate the crash landing of that ship where terror awaits. Oh my goodness, do I remember the first time I caught it on the big screen on sneak preview night before opening weekend? As a matter of fact, I do. And boy, the audience was so big, and I was the only person who freaked out because this one was a lot gorier than Alien Resurrection, in my opinion. Although it's not my favorite in the franchise, but it does have plenty of good moments as just scary and also have some usual alien action, though. I mean, I kind of have mixed feelings for this entry Ridley tackles, but I may give it another watch just to maybe appreciate a little better, but still can't get over that final act because it felt like more of a remake of Alien, but still haven't forgotten my first time catching it on the big screen with mom just before opening weekend. And whew, this is where I rank Alien Convent at second place in this month's episode. However, the franchise does not end here because next month we will be tackling the latest entry that just came out in theaters, to which I'm sure you may know what I'm talking about. And stay tuned. The Howling Reborn from 2011. Few years after the horrible New Moon Rising concluded things, the franchise decided to give one last shot with the films, to which this time it takes place in a new generation set in high school, to which a teenager has inherited blood from his own family of werewolves. Unfortunately, this sequel doesn't deliver too much werewolf action like its other films in the franchise, as this one plays out like a bad episode of MTV's Teen Wolf series. I think I'll leave it at that because I still know how the franchise went overall and such. But the only thing I did like was seeing Lindsay Shaw from Nickelodeon's Ned's Declassified Guide to School Foe. And this is where I rank The Howling Reborn at third place in this month's episode. As well, it's time to say goodbye to the Howling franchise I've covered in this ongoing challenge. Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, from 1989. The story of Jason Voorhees never dies, and this time he hitches a ride on a boat to New York City, where trouble is about to be brewing. One of the worst sequels, in my opinion, because mostly taking place inside a boat in the first hour, and then the rest of the movie takes us to Manhattan, and at times it plays more like a comedy rather than being scary. Even though I've laughed at several parts, and if you know what I mean by rather not being so scary this time around. It's the same thing with Nightmare on Elm Street 4 for 6. So this is where I rank Jason Takes Manhattan at 4th in final place for this month's episode of Franchise Frenzy. Well, that sums up everything for this month's episode of Franchise Frenzy. But the challenge isn't just over yet, because Part 9 will be in next month. As the old saying goes, the more the merrier. The more the merrier. However, in that next episode, we'll be saying goodbye to two more franchises that I've been currently covering throughout. So, this next episode should be a fun one to discuss. And before I like to conclude things, I wish to give a huge shout out and many thanks, like usual, to the one who's hosting this ongoing challenge, my good friend Joe the Horror Man. Joe, if you're watching this, keep up the amazing work, as well physical media still matter, and keep that passion for horror alive. Your channel rules, my friend. Until then, Cinematic Otaku Chris signing off, and hope to see you in another new video on my channel. And if you like what you see here this time around, be sure to click that thumbs up, comment below, and do subscribe if you enjoyed everything overall. Ciao for now, and have a great weekend.